Don't judge a book by its cover. Many of us received this advice. Most of us have received it when we were younger. But it seems like a lot of us either forgot or maybe didn't even receive this advice ever because of the way this world works right now. It seems like everyone's just judging each other. If you don't understand that statement or advice, pretty much means don't judge the cover because you don't understand the content that might be inside. The cover might be beautiful, but the inside might be shallow, empty, bland. The cover might be a little rough, a little beat up, but the content inside might be beautiful. Just like us. We don't know what someone is going through, but it seems like a lot of people are so easy to jump the gun and make ignorant assumptions about someone's life. And there was two experiences that I witnessed or went through that made me look back on this advice, and I'm going to share that with you guys. So a few years ago, I was working retail at a store in the mall. I was taking care of a customer, and my coworker was taking care of this lady that had her 8-year-old daughter with her. Now, I realized that the lady didn't speak very well in English, so she had her daughter with her to try to translate. Now, I've been in that situation before with my parents, where they would take me with them to stores so I could translate for them. My coworker asked them if they wanted to join a rewards program. Now, the daughter didn't know exactly how to explain it and what it was, so the mom just said, "Oh, no English," right? And I looked over and I noticed how embarrassed this woman looked. And I tried to check out my customer as soon as I could so I could step in and help out. And I did exactly that. As soon as I finished, I explained to her what it was, and I could tell how relieved this lady was that I was able to help her out. Because she felt, I could just, as soon as I looked over, I could tell how embarrassed she was that she couldn't understand what my coworker was saying. And then my coworker said, "Oh, thanks so much for stepping up. I appreciate it, and it's so cool that you know Spanish." Now, the same coworker later tweeted, "If you don't know English, please don't shop at this store." And I was just trying to wrap my head around it. The fact that this person tweeted this when they were complimenting me for knowing Spanish. Now, I didn't say anything, but the same person ended up going to a Mexican restaurant that I was also working at the time, and they were commenting how much they love Mexican food, and it was just kind of mind-blowing because you were just criticizing someone for not knowing a certain language and shopping at a certain store, but then you went to a restaurant which you don't know that language either, but you are okay being there, right? So it's just kind of a very privileged, ignorant statement that was said. So why can't that lady shop there, but you can eat at this certain restaurant if you can't speak that language, right? Again, didn't say anything, but just let that person live in their own ignorant world. And then I've also witnessed, staying on the topic of language, right? I witnessed someone tell me that they wish they would have paid more attention in class, in Spanish class, so they could know more rather than just hello, right? But the same person turns around, looks at some yard workers that are talking in Spanish and says, "I don't understand why they don't learn English to get better jobs." So let me break it down. This individual passed up on their privilege and opportunity to learn another language because he had the privilege to get that education. Now he's making that assumption that these individuals, these hardworking individuals, had the same opportunity. He just made this assumption, right? When they don't know exactly what level of education these people even accomplish in their own native language. I know so many people that barely made it to middle school, but you know what? They're trying their best to feed their families. But here we are, making these privileged, ignorant assumptions and judging these people when we don't even know anything about them. My biggest problem is the fact that we're doing exactly that, judging a book by its cover, when we don't know anything about him. So instead of maybe jumping the gun and making these assumptions, these ignorant, self-absorbed, privileged assumptions, why don't we just try to learn someone else's story instead? Instead of just being blinded by the media and being brainwashed by it, how about we just take the time to listen to someone else's story? Take that blindfold off your eyes. Let go of all the hate in your heart and open up your ears and your mind and listen to someone else's story. So instead of just jumping the gun and making those assumptions, how about we just try to sit down and have that conversation so we can understand them more, so we can know their story, so we can look what is inside of that book, instead of just looking at the cover and making those assumptions and assuming that we know everything about them. Because I'll tell you something, a lot of people think that you are defined by the things you have, the fancy car you might drive, the big house you have, the title, your job, your office. But that's not what makes you or defines you. Who you really are is how you carry yourself and how you treat others. The way you treat others, that shows your true colors. Everything else, if you feel accomplished and you feel better than anybody else just because of all those fancy things you have, you're just a shallow person. And in reality, if you're jumping the gun and making these assumptions about people and making these privileged assumptions, it's because you also look down on yourself for those shortcomings. And you assume everyone else is doing the same, so that way it makes you feel better about yourself. So instead of degrading these people because you see yourself in those situations and saw your shortcomings, that doesn't mean that it's the same situation for them. Not everyone has the same opportunities and the same privileges. Honestly, I think we could do so much better, and we're lacking a lot in being humans by making all these judgmental, ignorant assumptions of people. Let's stop judging people by their cover and trying to understand them better. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all breathe, we all bleed. So what makes us think that we're better than anybody else? If anything, we should try to work together and make this world better.